What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com, and we were back with more bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts, and it's a big week. As always, in the world of mixed martial arts, we have UFC 285. You know what? It's been so busy, you nearly forget the numbers these days. So we'll be reminded of this one for a while, I feel like. The return of Jon Jones. It's an interesting one because I suppose for most people it's probably like this is the one we've all been looking forward to, I suppose. I mean, a little bit different for me considering I'm here in Ireland and we'd Bellator the weekend and it's been all consuming for me for the last couple of weeks. But I've the head straight on now and we're going forward for the return of Jon Jones. I've already done a couple of podcasts talking about Jon Jones here on Sherdog over the last 18 months or so, but one even recently again. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. We'll talk about that again in a second when we get to Jon Jones and when we get to that fight itself. A quick review of last week before we get there as well. I would say a good week, a good to middling week. To review the bets, we got 2 of the 4 bets hit. So, Assail Lejuge did win at -165. You know, close enough first round, won the second two, the second and the third round. So -165, pretty good there. Logan Storley lost. Definitely a bad call by me. I thought the timeout would affect Amasov. Made him better. If anything, he was absolutely fantastic. Pedro Carvalho +100, and a lot of people in the comment section were giving me shit over that one. Definitely a bad call by me as well. Jeremy Kennedy absolutely dominated that one, but a great call for the Suarez inside the distance at +185. And an even better call, another Flier hits Richie Smullen to win by either submission or decision. He won by decision. Around +500. I was looking at it. I think there was like a +510 on this in one of the Irish bookmakers. I saw a couple of people talking about how they got it around this as well. So my guess of the price for this one last week was pretty good. So +500 for that one. A great call by me, sure, of course. We are now 12 from 22, I believe, if my maths are correct. I just need to adjust my notes while I'm here. 12 from 22 on overall on the bets. And then we are 4 from 7 overall on the Flyers. So 4 out of 7. And I went for 2 Flyers in 1 week. So 4 Flyers hitting in 6 weeks. That is pretty incredible. I don't think I've ever been on a run like that before. I haven't, because I think I only hit 2 in all of last year. So to hit 4 in the first 6 weeks of the year is pretty good. So if you've been tuning into this betting show, you're doing well. Now, am I guaranteeing it'll continue? Absolutely not. But it's going to be around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of March when this video comes out, and I think we've probably. If you've hit on those 3 bets, you have your money for the year already made. So you keep tuning in for the rest of the year, and we'll keep going at it. So congratulations to everyone who had the bets done, and a big pat in the back there. Pat in the back for Shawnee after that bet. That Smullen bet was a good bet, and I think I called it right too, because I thought I said his cardio would win him that. You know, his ability on the ground and his submission ability and all. I think it all played into it. Everything I said, no, I got it right. I didn't get to dress him right. I admit it. Hands up. But that Richie Smullen one. That was a stroke there for me, a stroke as we call it around here. Anyway, let's get into it and let's go for next week and the bets for next week. We're going to start off in the main event in Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. Now, I had a couple of different bets picked out here. And I'll tell you the one I'm going for before I get into it all. The one I'm going for is the fight to go to the decision at -125. Now, it is a heavyweight fight between 2 top class guys. Maybe you're thinking, Shani, this is a heavyweight fight. Someone can get hit here, someone get knocked out. You know, Gane has good power. Jon Jones has been around for a while. We saw what happened when DC went up to a heavyweight like Jon Jones again. He brought the power with him and was able to get a big knockout. And I see those points. But what I have been thinking about this fight an awful lot, and every time I think about it going to a decision. Like every single time. I very rarely think of anyone getting like finished here. And I was doing a thing there today where there's a couple of us, a group of us, maybe 10, and we all send in our picks, right? Some pick Jones, some pick Gane, right? Everyone picked the decision. Every single person picked either Jones by decision or Gane by decision. So I went my own thinking, and with that thinking, And this price, you know, you might get around even money in some books, but it's minus 125 here. I'm looking at it. As I said, I'm recording this pretty early in the week. It could very well change. The later the week goes, hopefully get a little bit better. But I like that price. Look, the reason why I like the price is pretty simple. I think both guys are going to fight a more tactical fight here. I think on Gane's side of it, I'm very interested to see how better defensively he's gotten after the Ngannou fight. And when I say better defensively, I don't mean striking, because he's always been a very good defensive striker, or a defender of striking, if you want to put it that way. But his defensive wrestling it's a weird one, right? Because no one was expecting Francis to take him down. Maybe you're expecting Francis to knock him out, or Ciryl to outbind him, or Ciryl to get a knockout or whatever. But I don't think anyone was expecting Francis to come out and look like Bo Nickel or anything like that. I don't think many people were thinking that would happen. And he caught him off guard. Now, did Gane show the best wrestling in the world in that fight? Absolutely none. And if John Jones wrestles him in a certain way, he might have problems. Absolutely, he might have problems. But I think the key difference here is Gane will be expecting it. He won't be caught off guard. Even if, you know, you don't necessarily 100% expect John Jones to wrestle from the gate or wrestle even at times throughout the fight. If he does wrestle, it won't be a shock like Francis wrestling. Do you get me? So I think he will be more prepared for it in that sort of way. It won't be him in a title fight for the first time as well. It won't be him caught off guard in his first title fight for the first time in that sort of fight. I think it'll be a little bit different. Now, will it be any better if John Jones is actually able to wrestle him, get him to the ground? Maybe not, but I do think he's big and strong and can defend well. And, you know, he actually, if you go back and watch that fight, there's a lot of people, myself included early maybe, who say Gane could have actually still won that fight with all of Francis's power on the ground and good times on the ground, I suppose. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on. Now, if it does, and that's another part, if it does get to the ground, I think John Jones will find it very hard to bully a big heavyweight like Gane the way he's done with, you know, all the middleweights he fought at light heavyweight throughout his career. I think that's going to be a very, very hard thing to do. And on the feet, I do think this will be a fight fought out mostly on the feet. I'm not sure who will win it. I'm not sure how it'll go. I'm not sure how their tactics will be. If I knew that, I'd be probably Eugene Berman or Eric Nixick or something like that coaching the best fighters in the world. But I do think it's going to be a long, drawn-out, outside battle, and I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant. And look, for that reason, I do think it's going to be a technical fight, a tactical fight, and I do think it's going to go decision. So at minus 125, I think that's very, very good. I'm going to go into the rest of the betting odds for this fight here, because I think we might as well. Let's do it that way this week, because this is head and shoulders really over the rest, even though there's some very good fights on this card. In fact, it's probably maybe my favourite card of the year so far. I think it's very, very good. I like a lot of the fights here, but that one definitely sticks out. So the straight up money line prices, as I look at them right now, John Jones minus 158 favourite over Ciryl Gane minus 138. If you're listening to this, you're not a massive MMA fan or anything, just looking for bets. This is for the vacant title. Francis Ngannou, who was a champion at heavyweight. He has vacated the belt, or whatever the belt was taken off him. He's gone away onto the deep blue yonder to fight boxing or somewhere. John Jones has been out for 3 years, coming up from light heavyweight and fighting here. Gane has been winning at heavyweight in between a loss to Francis for the title. So he's the next best, and in my opinion, the best heavyweight in the world. And he will fight John Jones. I feel like I'm a pure company guy there, like UFC shill here calling Gane the best. I've said that before, Francis. I wished Francis would stay. I wish Francis would fight Ciryl again. But in my humble opinion is that Ciryl is better than Francis, won the first fight and would win again if they fought the second time. That's not to say Francis isn't great or anything like that. So we'll just leave that to one side. The over-under prices, I think, are very interesting here for a heavyweight fight. Again, I'll say it. Let's look at 3.5 rounds. Over 3.5 rounds, minus 170. So it's a big favourite to go over 3.5 rounds. The under is plus 150. If you like the under 2.5 rounds, so what, the halfway point of the fight, plus 205. I wouldn't know myself like that price, to be honest, but that is the price if you're looking for a fight goes to decision. As I said, minus 125. That is the favourite over the fight not going to decision at minus 105. So this is favoured by the bookies to go to a decision. Then we have the methods. Gane by knockout, plus 500-ish. I see 400 some places, 550 other places, so around plus 500 for Gane to win by knockout. John Jones, the same, plus 350. So John Jones is favoured to get the knockout if someone gets the knockout here, which to me is bonkers. Like, John Jones was never a guy for big knockout power or anything like that. Now, okay, he has a few knockouts and he's knocked out DC, absolutely, but weird. If the finish gets here, it's John Jones by submission, I think, which is plus 600. Gane by submission plus 1400. I think a lot of people think that is not going to happen. I don't personally think John Jones will submit him either, but if he does finish him, I could see that. Now, a ground and pound knockout, as we'll get to later on in one of my bets as well, is very much a possibility, especially if they expect John Jones to wrestle Gane. So maybe I overreacted there with the knockout price, but yeah, I do think Gane is more likely to get the knockout, especially if there is a knockout. As I said, I think it'll go to a decision. Now, the other bet I was looking at for this is Gane to win by decision, plus 280. Very good price there, almost 3-1 for Gane. I'm looking at it in some places here, plus 333. If you can get it at that price, I think that's a very, very good price. John Jones wins by decision, around plus 180. So the plus 180-ish price for John Jones to win a decision. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a very, very close one, and we will we will see how it goes. Usually I'd look at maybe a bit of a flyer here and see someone in the first round or the third round or the fourth round. I just don't think it will be one of those. I really don't think it'll be one of those. I think it's going to be a long drawn out fight, you know. Maybe late, but even then I don't think so. I think if it goes long, I think it'll stay long, if you want to put it that way. So yeah, the bet I'm going for, first one straight up, fight goes to decision. So I'm hedging my bets here. I'm going for either lad to win, but just to win by decision, minus 125. And do you know what? I love that bet. I really, really like that bet. Right. Next fight I'm going for is the opposite bet that I'm going for a win inside the distance at minus 175. And I'm going for Shavkat or Rakhmonov to beat Geoff Neal. I don't think this one needs much explaining, lads. If a lot of you have seen Shavkat. Now, no disrespect to Geoff Neal or anything like that. A very, very good fighter. You know, has been around for a long time now, 19 fights deep into his career, and has lots of finishes and good wins over good people. Look at his last two, beating Vicente Luque and Santiago Ponzinibbio. His wins over the likes of Bilal Muhammad, you know, who's right up there, top of the contendership. Before that now, he beat Nico Price, many, many more people as well. And of course, he has losses to the likes of Magny and Wonderboy and others, whereas Shavkat is undefeated, but this is the jump in his career, you know. Okay, well, I suppose Neil Magny was the jump in his career last time out, and he handled that one. But Magny is one of those lads that if you meet him on the right day, it's not the test that maybe you would think it should be. Whereas I think Geoff Neal will be a test. It will be a real test, but I think it's one that Rakhmonov can absolutely overcome. 16 wins, 8 wins by submission, 8 wins by knockout. Never gone to a decision, obviously never lost as well. 28 years of age. So he just, you know, he's coming into his prime right now. Having been fighting, you know, 16 fights, 2004 made his debut. What's that? Just over 9 years. Just over 8 years since he made his debut in October of last year. It was 8 years. So it's the perfect time. This is the perfect time. He's coming into his peak, and I think he's ready. He has that mixture, I think, of technique and tactics that makes the perfect fighter, with that little bit of power and with that little bit of just scariness that MMA fighters on the way up sometimes they have at a level where their opponents don't know what to do with them. You know, we've seen it with Chimaev until he got to the level of Gilbert Burns. We've seen it with McGregor until he got to the level, I don't know what level he even got to, really. With McGregor, I don't think he ever got to a level. I think he kind of brought himself back down to the crowd, really, because it was a weird one with McGregor, the way he did it. But Rakhmonov looks like one of those guys where he's just going to walk through everyone. Now, Geoff Neal, absolutely not an easy guy to walk through, but if he jabs him up, hits him around the place, like, this is how I envision this fight going. I could see it going maybe 3, 4, maybe 7, 8 minutes of being close with Rakhmonov, like close but clear. And in Rakhmonov landing that one big shot that kind of moves it from a fight where Neal, he's just accumulating shots, to putting on the afterburners, the kind of the Bambi legs on Neal, landing a few shots, maybe getting the fight to the ground, a few elbows, maybe getting the finish there or something like that. But it's one of those where I don't think this will be, and maybe it will be, maybe it'll be a one punch knockout at some stage, but I think it'll be one punch after probably 75 punches before it to take this from winning to winning, you know? And that's why I think it'll finish inside the distance. No, I really don't know, man, maybe I'm wrong now, but I don't think it'll be the case of, you know, I expect him to get the knockout at some stage. I think this will be a how would you put it, like a detailed destruction. That's what I think it'll be from Shavkat. And yeah, I do think he'll go on. I do think he'll win it inside the distance. Look, not the biggest price in the world, minus 175, but when you look at the betting lines on that, he is minus 500 to win straight up. Neal plus around plus 400 or plus 375 in some places. Like, the lines are interesting as well for the over-unders. The under 2.5 rounds is minus 185, so that's a big favourite there. They do expect this fight to finish inside the distance. Fight goes to decision is plus 200 if you fancy that, minus 260. So look, Rakhmonov is the favourite. The finish is the favourite. So Rakhmonov to get the finish, you know, vis-a-vis, not to go full The Office here or anything, but I think that is the bet to go for, and I like that a lot. If you like the other sort of finishes, plus 275 for the knockout, plus 135 for the submission. That's your decision there. Maybe you want to up that price a little bit from my minus 175 and go for one of them. I wouldn't put you off that, if I'm being honest, but I like that bet. I like the... I'm looking at my record here a little bit as well, but there's a little bit of risk here. You're getting a better price, maybe when you throw into an ACA or something like that. But yeah, I like that. I like that price. Look, if you fancy Neal to get the finish, big knockout plus 650. If you fancy him to go the distance and get the win, plus 750, or you know, to get the submission, 3,300 in the plus direction. So I don't think there'll be many favouring that one, but you never know. You never know. Right, let's move on to bet number 3. And I'm going to go for the co-main event here, and I'm going to go for Valentina Shevchenko to win by submission at plus 235. Now, you look at that bet, and then you look at Valentina Shevchenko's record of 23 and 3, and you think, do you know, there's some fighters, right? Anthony Pettis is a great example of this. You look at his, you think about Anthony Pettis and you think, Anthony Pettis, you know, kickboxer, probably not lots of knockouts in his record, you know, a couple of submissions thrown in there. If I'm not mistaken, Pettis has more submission wins in the UFC than he has knockout wins in the UFC. If I'm not mistaken, it's maybe I got backed up on one of them. Maybe it's similar, but I think that is true. Valentina Shevchenko is similar. She's 15 wins inside the distance, 8 knockouts, 7 submissions. Won lots of fights by submission. Now, she went a while without winning a fight by submission, but she didn't win one against Cachoeira there a while back. She did win one against Juliana Pena on her way up as well. And I really, do you know what? Why I think this fight will be won by submission is this. My analysis of this fight, right, is that Shevchenko, look, Grasso fights her long, good, technical boxing game that she tries to fight, and Shevchenko tries that, you know, the Muay Thai power speed game inside. Those two games, if you put the two of them together, they kind of lead to clinches, right? If you think about it, one's coming in long, one's coming in short, and they're going to come together. It's going to lead to a clinch. It's going to lead to one hand on top of the other. It's going to lead to the person in the middle clinching. And what happens in the stronger fighter, the better in the clinch fighter, is either breaks it up, if that's what they want to do, or has the big trip and takes the person to the ground, if they prefer. Now, what does Valentina Shevchenko like to do? She loves that big trip. She loves that big slam. She loves taking the fight to the ground, especially against opponents who want to kind of jab you up or want to strike with you like that. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I really, really, really do. I think it's going to be a striking match for a while. Probably long stints of this 5 round. Well, as long as it goes. Let's say, 90% of however long the fight goes. But I do think there will be opportunities to clinch. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. But eventually, Shevchenko will put her on her backside, on her back, or her neck, or her upper back, or whatever it might be, and get her to the ground and land on top of her. And when she does land on top, Shevchenko loves to kind of get to that side control, land those knees, land those elbows inside, get to the back, get to the mount. And for Grasso, I think she will try her best to get out, right? And sometimes you're better off not doing that. Sometimes you're better off just accepting position. Let's wait till the end of the round. Let's try to maneuver out of this position. Let's try to take our time here. I feel like Grasso will hurry a little bit. You know the nerves as well in a big title fight like that. And when that happens, you give up your back. You give up an arm. You give up a neck. You give up something. And if you do that against Shevchenko, she'll take it. She will take it. And that's just the way I see the fight going. Now, look, it's maybe all those clinches will be broken by Shevchenko. She will rely on her striking and win there. But I don't think she's ever done that in the past. Whenever the clinch gives itself to Valentina Shevchenko, she takes it. Always. Look back at her old fights. Look back at them. I know Joe Rogan loves to talk about it, the clinch being part of Muay Thai and trips and things like that. And Valentina Shevchenko is absolutely happy to be a part of that. So that's the way I think the fight will go. And I think that submission bet, I really like it. Plus 235. I think the middle of the fight, third round maybe, third round submission for Shevchenko is the way to go here. So yeah, I'm going for that. Right, the next bet number 4 here, I'm going for. And some good prices here. It's the plus 200 bet. And this is Bo Nickel to win by KO or TKO. He is fighting Jamie Pickett here. Watch some of Jamie Pickett. Jamie Pickett's not the worst fighter in the world, but I also I watched one of his fights, and let me just pull up the name of the person he was fighting here on Sherdog in front of me. Kyle Dawkins, of course, Kyle Dawkins. And there was a point in that fight very early where he was pushed against the cage, and I was kind of thinking, he's showing good takedown defense here. Pushed to the other side of the cage. Dawkins was in a single. I'm like, this is interesting. Maybe Bo Nickel will have something to work with here, or something to work, to have to beat. And then Kyle Dawkins picks him up, slams him down, and my thinking is like, oh no. So I fear for poor old Jamie Pickett here. I think it's now, look, after that, Pickett did defend well. He did get out of different positions. He did move around. Did end up getting choked with a Bravo choke towards the end of the round, but he did move, and it's not like he stopped fighting or anything like that. But I think this is when you get taken down as easy as and it wasn't that easy, to be fair. It wasn't that easy. But when Kyle Dawkins can take you down and slam you down like that, well, Bo Nickel certainly is. Now, I think Bo Nickel is madly overrated for where he is so far. Do I think he won't be a champion or anything like that? I'm definitely not saying that, but he's only 3 fights into his career. We need to hold the horses here a little bit. Now, I'm not saying not enjoy it or anything like that, but don't come out and tell me he's going to beat some of the best in the world right now. Give him a chance. But for Jamie Pickett, yeah, I do think he'll win this fight. And when I look at the prices and I saw the plus 200 to get the knockout, as I said again, I mentioned it earlier on, this is not go out and land a big right hand. Although in a couple of his Contender Series fights, that was kind of just what he did, or one of them anyway, landed a big right hand or left hand fighting out of southpaw sometimes, and almost knocked out his opponent. So he could do that. But I think this is going to be one of those fights where poor old Jamie Pickett gets picked up, gets taken down, and gets ground and pounded out of it. Now, you look at some of the prices. Bo Nickel is favourite to win by submission, obviously, minus 185. But, you give me that difference between minus 185, minus 200-ish, and plus 200. Some places even have it plus 225 to switch from a bit of ground and pound finish in the fight, from maybe a submission or rear naked choke or something like that. And you know what? I'll take that for a guy who's minus 2,000 to win the fight straight up. So, look, it's pretty self-explanatory here. I think you get the takedown. I think you land a lot of ground and pound. Plus 200 for that to happen and him to get the finish. I like that. Let's go with that. Let's ride with Bo Nickel this weekend. And the last bet, I'm going for the flyer of the week this time. Is a bet I'm not that confident in, to be honest. I've had some good flyers recently, but this one maybe isn't as good as other ones. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I'm giving this flyer. So, okay, first of all, I'll tell you what the bet is. Derek Brunson to win by TKO KO at plus 550 over Dricus du Plessis, right? And you might be thinking, Sean, what are you talking about? Derek Brunson lost his last fight against Jared Cannonier, didn't look great. Okay, he was on a good run and all before that, but Dricus du Plessis has been on a great run here, 18-2. He beat Till, he beat Tavares and Giles and Perez and all these buckos on the way. I've watched those fights for Dricus du Plessis. Now, Dricus is a good fighter, right? And he's very good takedown defense. He can wrestle when he needs to. He's power. He can knock lads out. He's some good submissions and stuff as well. 10 submissions, 7 knockouts in 18 wins. Very, very, very good. But you look at him against Darren Till, and he could have lost that fight against Darren Till in 2022. The Brad Tavares fight, I remember tweeting in the middle of that fight, Dricus du Plessis is blocking every single one of these shots with his face. He's just one of those fighters. And I don't think you can do that against Derek Brunson. Like Derek, the thing about Derek, right? There's an easy way to beat Derek. If you're Israel Adesanya or someone like that, right? And when I say easy, I don't mean easy. Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker, and other people like that. You let him do it, right? You let him go mad. You let him do his mad stuff, and you just pick him off. You jab him, you out-technique him, you out-tactic him, and you beat him like that. If you get into a fight against him where you are getting into a brawl with him, you're not going well. If you get into one where you're having an athletic endeavor against him, you're probably not going well, unless you're maybe Art Cannonier or Anderson Silva or someone like that, maybe even a Bo Nickel in future or something like that. That's where you are in trouble against someone like Derek Brunson. And that's what Dricus du Plessis does in every fight. He gets into like an athletic war with everyone he fights. That's just the way he does it. I don't think he's good enough technically to like pick a guy apart and be smart enough to like stick and move and go around him. That's just not his game. Now maybe he's changed and improved an awful lot in the last 6 months or 5 months or whatever since we last seen him fight. And now he absolutely could have. He's only been in the UFC for a few fights, earning that extra money, maybe being able to travel and do so. I'm not saying he isn't. To me, the price in this one is not reflective of how good Dricus du Plessis is. I think it's more reflective of his record and the run he's been on. So to win the fight straight up, minus 230 for Dricus du Plessis, plus 195 for Brunson. I think that's a good price. Now, the reason I said I'm not that confident in it is, right, because I'm not actually sure where Brunson is in his career. I didn't think he looked great in that Cannonier fight, and I don't think he did either. Many people did. But if there is some of him there, and I think there is, and I don't like, the last thing you lose is the power, and the last thing you lose is the will to throw a few bombs if you're a guy like Derek Brunson. I think if he goes in there and does that against Dricus, he has more than a puncher's chance. He really does. Now, maybe will Dricus be able to do a few little intelligent things and pick him off a little bit, or maybe go for a few takedowns? Maybe, but Brunson is, he's not a guy that gets taken down and dominated against, unless you're a very, very, very good fighter, and I just don't think Dricus is that. I don't like saying it about people, but I just do not think Dricus du Plessis is a great fighter. He might win this fight, right? But I would be very surprised if he got all the way. I'd be very surprised if he kept winning. And to give me plus 550 that Derek Brunson via knockout is the stopping point for Dricus du Plessis when he gets hit with bungalows in every single one of his fights. Do you know what? As a flyer, after we won fucking 6 of the last 7 or whatever it is, 4 of the last 7, I'll take that. I will take it. So plus 550, Derek Brunson to get the knockout over Dricus du Plessis. It's the flyer. Right, some of the other prices here we will run through. Jalen Turner, Matthias Skamrat. Fight I looked at studied and couldn't come up with a good bet for, if I'm being honest. Jalen Turner, interesting. I think a lot of people over in America and a lot of people around the world will be on Jalen Turner at that price of plus 190, minus 230 for Gamrot. I've just seen Gamrot too many times, and he's too good of a fighter. But Turner, watching some of Turner again today, he has that spark of power that not many people have, and especially at like his size, and I suppose his length, and so like he's a long, tall guy, and you don't expect the power out of guys like that, but he has it. He just touches guys and not even necessarily even turns them off, just like knocks them down and knocks them silly. He has serious power, and he's a good all-around fighter, good submissions and all that as well, good on the ground. Plus 180 there. You know what? I like Gamrot to win the fight, to be honest, but Jalen Turner knockout, I think it's around plus 400 here. That's the kind of the backup bet. That's the best priced bet that I like in there. I don't necessarily, I think Gamrot will win, right? I don't like the Gamrot minus 230 price. Too big for me. I don't like Gamrot knockout at plus 225. I don't like Gamrot by decision at where is it here? Gamrot by decision at, I can't find it. Where plus 200. No, not bad, but I don't like that either. I don't like that. But the knockout for Turner with that power, he could do it. So that's the one I'd look at there. We talked about Nickel and Pickett. Bo Nickel around minus 2,000 plus 1,000 for Pickett. The Grasso and Shevchenko straight up price is minus 700 for the champ Shevchenko, plus 500 for Grasso. Cody Garbrandt is coming back here against Trevin Jones. Garbrandt is a favourite, minus 170 plus 145 for Trevin Jones. Cody Garbrandt to be a favourite in any fight is a bit of a wild one there, but maybe like that fight, the under in that fight, I like that one. The under 2.5 rounds is minus 200 there. The under 1.5 rounds plus 105. Let's go with that. Let's ride with that one. We talked about Brunson versus Duplessis, Amanda Hebes versus Viviana Araujo. I was very high on Araujo until her last fight, and then I got off that trend very quickly. She is the underdog here, plus 102, minus 122 for Hebes. Like these two, I'm not sure. They kind of blow hot and cold. I've liked both of them at different times, and really not toss of a coin there for me. Marquez and Barriault, again, the toss of a coin, I think. They're both around minus 110. I see in one book here that Barriault is a little bit of a bigger favourite amount, around minus 150 actually. So yeah, it's I think he is becoming more of a favourite there as the week goes. Cameron Simon is the favourite over Leona Martinez. Jessica Pinay and Ricci. Ricci is the favourite there, minus 300 plus 250 for Pinay. Blackshear and Farid Basharat even. I really like Basharat. I think he will win that minus 450, so not much of a price there. Like Rabzabov is coming into the UFC after a stint in PFL. I watched a lot of him, and I think he's good at that price of minus 270. And last but not least, Ian Gary against Kenan Song. Or Kenan Song, actually. I was watching a few of his fights just before we started. Minus 700 for Gary, plus 500 for Song. I think that's reflective of their ability. Gary, Gary will be looking to get the knockout here. I think he's actually the price for the knockout isn't up yet for Ian Gary, but Song is plus 1,000 to get the knockout. So we'll see if that happens. But you would think Gary will be maybe around even money-ish or something like that to get the knockout. And I do think he will. I think it's a big fight for Ian Gary. It's not the name, it's not the progression he was looking at. He's had a big year personally and all of that, and getting back into it here. I'm sure he'll want to get a big win, a big finish, and get on the card maybe towards the middle of the year, and another one towards the end of the year. So, do you know what here? Do you know what Ian Gary needs in this fight? I think he needs a quick night. That's what I think he needs. A big first round knockout. Put on the pace, put on a show here for the crowd, and get Song Kenan out of there. So we'll see if he can do it, and I think he will. And I like him at look at minus 700. You couldn't like anyone, but the knockout price. We'll see what it comes out later on in the week. But yeah, I like that one as well. There are not many other events this weekend. We have Oktagon going down. Alex Lahore is fighting there. against Samuel Kristoff. He's the favourite. I think the tournament's starting this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, so there's some good fights there. Bohan Vlahovic is on that as well. Iñárritu Silva is fighting Andrei Michailidis. So some good fighters on that as well. So check out that if you're looking for stuck for some MMA this weekend. PFL Challenger Series as well. I know Nate Kelly from Ireland is on that. He's minus 500. Very good, Nate. Has really improved in his last few fights. He is fighting Zachary Hicks, Ago Husic as well. I've seen him a couple of times. He's a big underdog there against Gabriel Braga, so that'll be an interesting one as well. There's a Cage Warriors card this weekend over in San Jose. Wilson Hayes is on that. He's a big favourite over Johnny Campbell as well, and John De Jesus favourite over Roberto Hernandez. Bit of a double there. Maybe we'll throw them in. We'll throw them in together and we'll see how it goes. But look, we'll leave it there. I will recap my bets for the week. The main event, John Jones or still Gane to go to a decision minus 125. Shavkat Rakhmonov to win inside the distance minus 175. Valentina Shevchenko, I almost called her Andrea Shevchenko. The old AC Milan roots are still with me. To win by submission plus 235 for Valentina Shevchenko. Bo Nickel to win by TKO KO at plus 200. And the flyer of the week, they've been going well recently, the flyers, Derek Brunson to win by KO TKO at plus 500. Alright everyone, I will leave it there. Let me know your bets, comment section below. Send me your bet. What bet are you doing for this week? Let the people know in the comment section below. Please give a thumbs up, please give a like, and if you're not subscribing, subscribe. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.